It's so rewarding to make something with your own two hands. Today's DIY primitive Christmas decor is primitive ornaments. We know them as primitive ornies and bowl fillers. Additionally, we have this extended version video step by step. You will know how to make it from scratch, including these nostalgic snow globes. So stick around, there's a lot coming up. We're going to start out with the Dollar Tree burlap bags that have the Christmas tree printed on them. There's two that you get when you purchase these. And we're taking the cord apart here because we're going to need this fabric and we won't need the cord. But it can be used for other decor and decorations. So always hang on to your little strings and ties and ropes and all kinds of pieces. I do. I have a bucket or a jar always sitting on my table, and that's what I use it for. So use your scissors or even a seam ripper, but you can just jag it through there, cut that thread, and it will actually start coming apart. It's really easy. Try to preserve the integrity of the fabric. We don't want to cut it, so we just want to snip those threads and pull that bag apart. So now we have our two pieces. Take the back side and lay it on top of the print and trace it out with a pencil. We're going to need this. We'll need both parts of this one bag. You can make more of these primitive ornaments if you want to, these primitive ornies and bowl fillers. But for this video to show you, I'm going to use the one bag. So I've got it traced out, and now grab you some beautiful coordinating fabric, any kind that you like, to go along with this. And this is what I call easy measure math. That's where I lay the fabric down, I stretch it out, and I add an inch. That is simply easy measure math. That's the way Elizabeth does it. And I highly recommend it. I want to make sure there's at least an inch barrier per se of a ½ inch on each side, which is not a big deal in this particular application. We just need that 1 inch longer than the bag. So I have me some dowel pins, and I have some size 3 embroidery thread here. You can get any kind of thread, any kind of twine. But to make this rustic and make it look very primitive orny, we are going to take the jute twine and this thread and put it together. I put it into these dowel pins because they have a large head, they are sharp piercing, and they will be able to manipulate and go through this burlap and trace it out and be able to house both these three types of thread and cord. Jute twine, as you know, is thick in itself. And then the number 3 thread is slick, but it's as thick as the jute twine. And all we're going to do here is, remember when you went to school or maybe you went to church and you did the little yarn cards? That's all we're doing here is in and out, which is basically a basting thread or basting stitch. So you're just going to go in and out, in and out. Now, as you watch carefully, I'm going to show you not only how tough it is to pull through there, but it's very thick, guys. So just stick in there and do it. But you want to keep those stitches, kind of about the same length apart. You don't want to overdo it and have these big jumps of thread unless that's the style you're going for. But as you can see here, I'm showing you about 1/4 inch apart. So once we've gotten it all traced out with our thread, we're only doing that on the actual image itself. We have some additional things we're going to do. So hang on. I know you're questioning why didn't we do that through the fabric. There's a reason for that. So we have that traced out. Taking the very slick number 3 thread, which is basically cross stitch thread, a thick cord, maybe you have some cotton twine, that's what it's equivalent to. And we're going to once again go through and trace out our now pencil drawn image on the other piece of burlap. So very quickly you can go in and out. Now on this particular one, I do a back stitch about 3 or 4 threads because I do not want my thread to start pulling and sliding and gathering up around my image. So about every 3 stitches on your 4th one, do a back stitch. And that way it doesn't pull and you get this smooth, flat stitching. So now it's time to sew these together and allow a 1/2 inch from the design. Focus on really truly the design. So now I've sewn my backing fabric to my burlap bag. Now you can add some stuffing. You could use polyfill, rice, or beans, whichever you prefer. I like polyfill for mine, and that's what I used. So let me show you here. When you go to cut this out, you're going to stay a good 1/4 of an inch away from any of your stitching. So you're snipping away basically like a tracing of your actual ornament. Great thing about this project, if you do not find these bags at Dollar Tree, you can create your own. Simply get your burlap, put you down your image of your tree, and if you want it green, use paint. It's that simple. And do the same thing. Once again, use any kind of fabric you like. Now, the best way to rough up the edges is your scissors. If anyone ever pays attention to a pair of scissors, they're kind of rough on the upper and lower part with the blades closed. They're, rough and sharp. So if you rub that against your fabric, it's going to rough it up, make it tattered, and give it that worn look. Now, I'm showing you my secret of how I do burlap to keep it from raveling all over the place. Find you the thread, pull it, and then you're going to cut right down through that seam. Now it makes it easy to remove your burlap threads, which we're going to use, so hang on to them. And this is a roll of muslin that I keep. The best way to make you some of this is cut you out a strip around 4 to 5 inches broad and pull it, like rip it the width of your fabric, and then roll it onto a spool or one of your old-timey clothespins, and that way you have your muslin on a roll ready, accessible. Now, as you see here, I'm roughing it up, and I'm showing you how I do it. I roll it in my hands, and I am just measuring to get the size that I need. And the best way to write on this soft of fabric is to tape it down with some masking tape. Just regular old tape, tape it down. That way you can take your Sharpie marker, which is what I use, and write whatever you like. Now, while I got this taped to the back of this paint plate of mine, I knew you could not see it, so I cut it out of the video. There was no need to even bore you with watching the backside of my hand. And here is another tip. Keep you a spray bottle in your craft room. It is a great piece to have in your arsenal of supplies, and you're going to mist down this fabric. You can also tame your burlap by having it a little bit of wet. So a little bit of water will tame, your jute twine and your burlap. That way, if it's kind of wiry or being unwilling, you can help encourage it. Grab your cinnamon. Dollar Tree has the best ground cinnamon, and you can buy as much or as little as you need. Sprinkle it on there. I go a little bit overboard with my cinnamon. I love it. I do not care. I sprinkle it all over it. And as you can see here, I rub and I massage and I rouge it in there really, really good. And just the more, the better. Now, you want a stiff bristle brush, and you're going to brush off the excess. Now, bear in mind, this is still damp, and they are going to look even more beautiful once we allow them to dry. So set them aside and let them dry. You could use your heat gun if you like, but by the time you make your labels and add the other pieces, as your primitive decor dries, it takes on this wholesome, rustic look, and it does its own marinating. So just make your tag. I used burlap as my background, and I glued the muslin right onto the burlap. And I just allowed a little bit of difference so that I can hang this. Now, as you see here, I'm taking my time using my hot melt glue if you are using that method to attach your tag together. Make sure you spread it out and there's no lumps, and you can attach them together. Now, if you have your little iron press, you could use that. Now we're going to basically get our tags here. We've got them made, and we need to add some more details to truly make this a do-it-yourself primitive ornament. Now, the Tim Holtz Distressing Ink is by far one of the greatest. You can use your acrylic paints with a dirty brush, water it down. It depends on the method you want to use. You can also use instant coffee or tea and dye these fabrics in advance. But this is a quick way. Use the burlap threads that we pulled out, aka jute twine, and we are going to string those through the bells. Now these bells, I have selected these rusty bells that I make, and that's real simple. Use some vinegar and salt, make sure they're exposed to air, and once you take them out of that vinegar and salt sprinkling, and the air will help rust them. But it takes time. And once again, I'm using those dowel pins. I'm telling you, you got to get them. And I'm going to just run that through there, help feed the jute twine without destroying the burlap, and tie it together. I did a little snip in the fabric, and I added the bell. If you want to save this to your playlist, click the plus button underneath the video, and it will offer you to create your own playlist and add this video to your playlist so you can refer back to it and make these beautiful primitive ornaments and bowl fillers. And as you can see, our burlap is still drying, the fabric's still drying, and it is just getting more and more wholesome looking. We're attaching our tag, and you've seen how I strung it through the very top. That's where I chose to put my tag. If you're liking this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, well, please do. Now stick around, there's more to come. Aren't they beautiful? Absolutely stunningly beautiful. And they have dried now, and they have that look. So there you go. That's how to make your own primitive ornaments and bowl fillers. And just place them all over. Now this next one is how to make these candies. You're going to love this because we are repurposing, recycling, and updoing some pieces in our home. Our toilet paper roll, as well as a canning lid from our mason jars. 8 inches of fabric is the width you're going to need. And then, of course, I'm going to once again practice my easy measure math. I'm going to lay it there, I'm going to roll it into it, and I'm going to add 1 inch. Remember, cut it off. Now here's a really great tip that your app's going to love. So you'll see the tools and how I manufacture these things with these on 2 hands. Double-sided tape. Oh, yes. What a great secret for us crafters. You place that on that fabric. No fabrics were harmed in this video. Proud to say that. I just do not like hurting my fabric. I don't. I am a seamstress. It is within my heart. I love my fabrics. And you know what? There might come a day when I might just need a little piece of that fabric, and I don't want to mess it up. So there's you a little tidbit from Elizabeth. Don't damage your fabrics. Be good to them. They'll be good to you. And another tip, grab you a clothespin. I always have one handy. I love my clothespins. I love my buttons. I love my bells. I love my string. So that's my other set of hands. And it does a fine job of holding on to this booger while I am trying to tie my jute twine. And I want you to know, I was wrestling with it. Because your fabric, if you are using these fabrics like I use, they're calico, and they're very smooth and slick and soft, and they move easy. So they are as close to muslin as you're going to get because they have a print on them. And this is ticking fabric that I have bought. Most of this you can find at Hobby Lobby or Joann's. And this particular one, I did purchase this at Hobby Lobby. Now you're going to wind your jute twine around it a couple times. Give it extra tails. You know how we are, like it messy and tattered and all kinds of, wholesomeness. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And as you'll see in this video, everything that you've seen me use in the very first project, we will be using throughout this video. So pay attention and put in the comments if you caught some of the things that I repurposed from the first project. I would love to see how much you actually are paying attention to the video. So there you go. There's your little contest. When you watch the video, tell me in the comments what all I repurposed. So once again, we're going to grab our toilet paper tissue roll, and we're going to do our easy measure math, roll it up in there, and what are we going to do? That's right. Add 1 inch. Cut it off. Now we're ready to go. Grab your double-sided tape really quick and do the double-sided tape only the length of the toilet paper roll, y'all. Do not go crazy. When you do your mason jar lid, only do it enough that's the width and length of the lid. You know, you don't want to go beyond that because then you can't gather up your fabric and you're just going to have an absolute mess. I know you've tried to wrap Christmas presents, and if you put tape beyond the width of the project that you're wrapping, guess what? Yep, tears the paper. So we're tying this up once again using my clothespin. Now with this one, it's a little slick and it wants to slide and go back and forth. And this ticking fabric once again came from Hobby Lobby, and I keep these readily on hand. They are so soft and I love them. I use them for everything, and I use so much. So you're going to slide it like you would a ponytail holder. You gals remember when you put your hair in a ponytail, you kind of pull your hair apart so that the ponytail holder will slide up on the hair. That's what you're doing here. And that makes it really handy, really easy. And we've got to make a tag. So remember, we cut off the 4-inch muslin while ago. There's your extra one, a freebie to put in the comment box. I am using the extra fabric. And I basically wrote peppermint on one, I believe, and sugar roll on the other. Once again, I taped it down and I wrote with my magic marker, my Sharpie marker. And voila, we have these beautiful, charming, candy, primitive bowl fillers. So on to the nostalgic vintage Snowglobe. These are also Dollar Tree supplies and Dollar General supplies. You can find these fillable ornaments that come apart at Dollar General. You will get 2 when you purchase, 2 at a time. And I'm using my Old World Winter 6x6 inch scrapbook paper that I got from Hobby Lobby 2 or 3 years ago. And guess what? It's such a big seller, they still have it. Dollar Tree has all of these small little nostalgic Ornies that are good for the fairy houses as well as ornaments, and it is perfect for this project. Any of your repurposing your old ornaments, these are things that you can do because you'll hold on to it. Now we need to snip off the holder with our needle nose pliers and use your sanding sponge to take off that rough edge. We need it smoothed down so it fits into our mason jar lid. And this is just a way to repurpose your rusty mason jar lids. So see, it fits in there just right. And it's just a perfect fit. This is for the regular mouth mason jar lids. And this is the ring, or mason jar ring. I'm going to use my crocodile snips, and we're going to punch a hole right through this metal like butter. I'll put an affiliate link down below, but you can get those at Hobby Lobby and on Amazon. And I appreciate when you guys use the affiliate link. It really helps me out a lot. As you can see, I've popped out the other side of the Snowglobe because you can get 2 made out of this one refillable ornament ball from Dollar General. And I'm going to snip a hole, as you can see, just like butter. And there you go. It's that simple. So now, where I sanded that, I have just a little bit of a scratch on the acrylic. So if that happens to you, do like me. Put it down at the bottom. No one's going to notice it. Or you put it at the top, where you think, whichever way you want to put it. Put your Snowglobe back in there. Now, it's going to only go to the first cut ringlet for your screw down inside that lid. So no, it's not going to be going beyond the hole that you pierced. It's only going to go in that first ring. It's not going to pop all the way down into that canning ring. If you do, you're going to bust your acrylic. You just want to put it right into the top, and then you're going to hot glue down the edges and just glue it against it. Now, you don't have to put a hole in your ring. That's fine. You'll be able to attach it to the back or go another direction, whichever you prefer. And you'll see, I'll show you that. So what happens when somebody like Brano here forgot to paint the canning ring? And I really did, guys. My brain just like, and I even tried it, but I done glued these down. This is how you fix that. You come up with another clever idea. Easy measure math. Once again, grab you some of the nautical rope, or some kind of trim, like I took off the old Dollar Tree ornaments, which is the, the shiny, and paint it. That's how you fix it. That's how us DIYers do it, right? Yep, you guys know. You're just like me. You just paint it. And then we're going to glue it onto the inside, and we're going to make it like we did it on purpose. That's how you do that. That's how we fix it. When we go, uh-oh, I forgot to paint that. Would have been a good idea being my cannon ring is a little bit rusted. Now, voila, look at that. Isn't that adorable? It looks even better than painting them. I was like, yeah. So when you go to glue these in, you're going to use that nautical rope as your mounting. So apply the glue directly to the rope. That ornament is not ever, ever, ever coming loose inside that snow globe. It'll be in there for years. And I did put just a little bit of glue on the ornament itself before I put it in as a stabilizer. And that will just kind of lock it in place and keep it from rattling in the front. And then I will go back and add glue insurance to the back. And it's not going anywhere. So I'm going, okay, I got my main character inside of my snow globe, and I want to just put a few things in there. I don't want to overcrowd it. And so I decided trees would be the best thing, right? Because that's what's out during the snow. It's the only thing that's green. It's pine trees. So I glued those inside. And I went about fixing both of these snow globes. When you place your decoration inside of these dioramas snow globes, this is how to make a diorama snow globe. Nostalgic, vintage, modern, traditional, any way you want. And if you have ornaments that are a full piece, you could use your hot knife or some way of cutting it if you like. Now, grabbing that old world scrapbook paper I got from Hobby Lobby, and I encourage you, that pack is perfect. It's 6x6. It works for everything. And I've decided on which backing I want to put on my nostalgic snow globes, diorama vintage. I found all of these guys at Joann's. You're going to love them. Look, it's like Christmas presents, candy, little gingerbread men, peppermint candies, and trees. And then these is like glitter and gold, as they call it, per se. It's like a heavier duty snowflake. You've got silver balls and then the little incandescent snowflakes, and of course our fake snow. You won't need but just a smidgen of these inside snow globe. Very little amount. If you are not wanting to cover up the item you just glued inside and you're wanting to show off some of these little pieces that I got. Those are in glass bottles, by the way, and you can find them at Target dollar spot once in a while. So as I go about, I've put the filling that I want in there, and you can deduct or take away. That's why I do a little at a time. Keep my paper handy. That way I can kind of stage it by putting it on the back and holding it and shaking it. Now I'm going to steal the beads and the jute twine from off of this Dollar Tree house sign that I got back in the spring. You can do the same thing or any beads. This is just an idea to top my ornament. And I do take the time to untie it because I'm going to use it. So as I get it together, I've got one strand out and I put it through the hole. Now the idea here is if you do not have your crocodiles to pierce a hole, don't sweat it. You can use the backing or add some cardboard to the back as well to make it a little more heavier hold. And I have it strung through it because when I glue down the paper, that's going to hold one side of the jute twine and keep it even. Now, I braided this macrame cord back during the fall, and it did not make the videos for a DIY. So guess what? I'm going to use it. And I do tape up my ends. Always tape up your ends of your cord with tape. Keep it from raveling, including the nautical rope. I use a little bit of the hot melt, and they'll band those frays together to make sure they don't shift. And I start gluing from the bottom and go around. Now, what's really easy about this is when I get to the top, I can go in between the hanger. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to like it, share it with friends, somebody who enjoys DIYs. Make the comments on finding all the pieces I used from the first project that are being used throughout the video. And if you will, add this to your playlist. When you subscribe to the channel, you'll receive notification of each new video I put up. But the easiest way is underneath your video, hit the plus sign and create your own playlist. Save this so you can go back to it. It makes it really, really easy for you to find. Subscribe to the channel. Doing DIYs all the time, including if you love primitive. We do a lot of primitive on this channel. Now, masterfully masked all of the rust on the ring, we now need to make a tag. And I'm going to create one. I'm using my crimping shears. I keep a pair in the craft room and one in my sewing room, which still is used for fabric, but sometimes in the crafting room it gets used for a little bit more. And paper. So you don't want to use anything you use on your fabric on paper. You keep them separated. This one, it's been around long years, so I got a new pair, and it gets to be donated to me in the craft room. And I am gluing those two together with regular old Elmer School glue, and it will stick. Once again, used my Sharpie to write Let It Snow, and the other one, Winter Wonderland. So just use the school Elmer's glue, and that way it'll glue the muslin right to the fabric and it'll stay on there forever. I will leave an affiliate link down below for the crocodile snips, especially if you do not have a Hobby Lobby in your area. And a lot of times you can actually save dollars by ordering it online from Amazon. Now I'm tying the tag onto the side, and I am utilizing the jute twine hanger versus trying to stick it to it or create another hanger. And they're absolutely beautiful. Thank you for joining Elizabeth here on the Dandysoap DIY channel. And until the next DIY, well, I'll be crafting, y'all. Merry Christmas.